Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to your March forecast. It's great to see everybody. Look who we have behind us. Apollo chilling out, giving us a little bit of zen. Let's give him a scratch on the head and then we'll get started. All right, everybody. It's great to see you again. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This is for the sign of Scorpio. This is your March reading, which is going to help you navigate through the month ahead. As always, let's get started with some channeled messages. As I was focusing on your sign today, there were two things that came through. The first was a pin, kind of like a pin that you would put in a map, and that was the second thing, was kind of like an old-fashioned globe. And for many of us, we might be picking a point that we need to get to. Now, it could literally be planning some travel, but I think figuratively, this is more like Two of Wands energy, which is to set into motion something that you really want. And if we think of like an Ace of Swords, which can also be represented by that pin, it's speaking it into existence, I want this, and then creating an action plan each and every day, moving towards that goal just a little bit. The other thing with a pinpoint, it can both serve us in the point of like when we're focusing, right? You can be razor focused, get something done, and really accomplish a lot. But it can also almost be like a blinder sort of thing where if you're so focused on one thing, you might miss an opportunity in the environment. So I think that creating some balance in your life where you're stepping back, you're meditating, you're spending time with friends, family members, pets, all of these sorts of things are going to serve you well because it doesn't have to be an either or sort of thing. This is more of making sure that you're not missing out on the big picture as well. And again, that is very Two of Wands energy. Again, that person is holding the globe, looking at where they want to be, but also looking at where they're at. And that's the channeled message for today. Let's go ahead, shuffle the cards, and see what additional messages Spirit wants to bring forth. Before we get started, I always like to tune in. So close your eyes for a moment. Imagine that it is a beautiful starry night, and you see the North Star shining right in front of you, and you can feel that connection to Source as the starlight starts to shine on your body. In this moment of connection to Source, I'd like you to call in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. Keep your feet on the ground, and let's now bring forth the messages for the month ahead. What a nice way to start. All right, let's begin with your catalyst. The catalyst for this month is the castle, and there's a couple of things that I like about this. First of all, when I think of a castle, I think of something that is fortified, something that is safe, something that is secure. There's a lot of like Ten of Pentacles or King of Pentacles energy here. So I feel like many of you have been working really hard to build a firmer foundation in your life, and it's starting to show. I also think of the old Sting or Police song, which is about building a fortress around your heart. And sometimes we work so hard to protect ourselves that it is difficult for people to sometimes get through that. So knowing when and where to be kind of a little bit more secure and safe and have those boundaries, and when to be a little bit more vulnerable and allow people in. We built those castles sometimes too high, and it's difficult to kind of like allow opportunity to come through. So those are the sort of two messages, but mostly a very positive thing, which is You've done a lot of work. The foundation is firm. So let's see how the rest of the cards are sort of stacking up. I want to show Apollo one more time because he's just chilling out back there, giving us some calmness and some love. All right, let's look at the cards here. So, interesting. Many of you have come from a place of being indecisive, and I think you've gotten some good counsel because things are starting to shift in a positive direction. Overall, I like what I see here quite a bit, and I see us moving in a general direction towards more abundance. Let's take it a card at a time. Let's start with the Wheel of Fortune right at the center. I read the wheel not just as a financial or an energy card, but also as a cyclical sort of thing. So let me break this down. For some of you, you might be stepping into something new and fulfilling in your life. It could be the role of being a parent. It could be an advancement at work where you got a raise or a promotion. It could also simply be this feeling of, wow, I really am excited to tackle this new growth or development opportunity. However you want to look at the wheel, it is developmental, it is positive, and this is a moment where things are starting to move in a positive direction. Notice the 4 seasons on this card. It also represents the passage of time, and it's a reminder that slow and steady wins the race. What you're starting to set into motion right here, right now, over the next month, and maybe the next year, because this can go a whole year, it's going to start to pay off. So keep your eye on that long-term goal, not just what's right in front of you. The pinpoint, as I was talking about, can sometimes be limiting. So we want to make sure that we widen the view, that we get some perspective. But overall, the fact that the wheel is right at the center is pretty good. Not only that, crossing the Wheel of Fortune, we have High Priestess energy. So if you can see it, you can do it. Believing is seeing. We kind of flip the script a little bit on that. I believe there's also a beautiful dragon on this card here too. So this is a month where there could be a big sort of download of creative energy, lots of ideas coming forth. I want you to take advantage of that when it comes through, because there are times sometimes where we have block or you don't always feel that flow of energy, but it does feel like the floodgates want to open up right now. So by all means, I would, really embrace that. High Priestess energy, of course, is also connected to spiritual development, to personal development, to psychic abilities. This is a time where you can really open up and trust your instincts as they happen, as those downloads start to present themselves to you, okay? Don't overthink, in other words. That is kind of the karmic lesson, so that's a perfect alignment to what we see here. We have 2 of Swords, which is often a very black and white and practical card, and it says, if I don't see it, how can it be? And the High Priestess comes through and she says, you have to have faith, you have to believe. Also, the way that we create things that aren't there are through our imagination. So imagine more than you've been taught or shown, and in doing so, you could surprise yourself and others. This is a really unique illustration. As I'm looking at it, there's a sword pointing from the crown to the firmament or heaven. There's one pointing from the throat to the heart. And it's almost as if sometimes it's difficult to articulate what's coming through. Remember, communication doesn't have to always be in a spoken format. It can be illustrated, it can be written, it can be demonstrated. So if you're having a difficult time expressing yourself, rather than using the throat, use other ways to express what's coming through. Show it, demonstrate it, illustrate it. That can help you out a little bit. The other thing with this 2 of Swords, again, is just understanding that typically it's blindfolded. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it won't come through. It just means that it's not there at that moment in time. Now we have 2 of Cups in the recent past. Some of you have been focusing a little bit more on creating better connections, whether it's friendship, work alliances, family, love. It could be all of these. And this is a moment where someone else is also ready and willing to kind of step in and support you. There's a general question, though. Do you feel like you're ready? 2 of Swords is sometimes limiting or, again, shutting things down or shutting things off, kind of like building up the fortress around your heart. So if you're willing to open the heart a little bit, it does feel like new connections are ready to form. It's really a question of your desire and your readiness. In the crowning position, we have 7 of Pentacles, slow, steady growth. You can tell in this illustration that she's ready for a little bit more. She's looking and thinking, when is it going to grow? When is it going to happen? But One of the things for any of you out there that are, lovers of plants or you're a gardener, you realize that sometimes just ignoring things a little bit, giving it some space is exactly what it needs, because you can overwater, you can over-fertilize, you can over-worry about something that's growing and then it just doesn't perform. But when you kind of take a step back and let it do what it needs to do, suddenly the root system kicks in, it starts to grow a couple of inches, and pretty soon you have something bigger than you thought it would be. And when we're looking at finances, this is also about not being too hasty in any sort of investment, making sure that, especially when it comes to the right time for something, maybe like selling an investment or a house or buying a house, that you're also not hasty. You don't want to stretch yourself too thin. And if you are looking at an investment, really make sure that you're calculating in all of the other things. So like, for instance, if you're buying a house, there's usually insurance, there are taxes. If you're renting an apartment, there are utilities. If you're buying a car, there's insurance and maintenance. There's always those tagged on fees and costs associated with it that we don't always calculate at the beginning. So I think that in this moment, because this can represent a lack of seeing it, this is where an advisor can step in and help you kind of calculate and plan out that long-term goal. If you want to make this work, though, it feels like there are resources and ways. We just want to plan. We want to be very mindful of the approach. Now let's take a look at what's coming through in the near future here. We have the Five of Cups. Some of you have just gone through a challenging moment in time, and this is the heart and the mind kind of clearing. The clouds have to clear first. There's always two cups upright. We can see it in the distance here, but we have to focus first on acknowledging that maybe something didn't pan out the way that you wanted it to. And there's a sense of disappointment, sometimes mourning, sometimes loss. But there's a rainbow. There's always sort of like a silver lining with this card. And again, we have it here right behind the person. It's a matter of allowing yourself to take a step back and not be so fixated on one thing. There could also be someone in your life that is just dealing with a lot. And in this situation, what I'm getting from Spirit is there's only so much you can or need to be doing here, because it might even be beyond what the scope of your relationship or your role is. So in this situation, you would set a person up with a resource or a support system that they can lean on, but you don't have to do it all. That's one thing that I'm getting there. Okay, now one of the most powerful cards, and it's representing you. So we have Judgment, which is interestingly enough titled Forgiveness in this deck. Let's talk about Judgment. Let's talk about the Phoenix first, and then we'll kind of delve into the forgiveness piece. So Judgment usually represents an internal understanding. A decision has been made. Acceptance isn't always a piece of this. I think the block to acceptance and embracing what might actually be this Wheel of Fortune at the center is forgiving yourself for maybe not doing something quote unquote right the first time, or making some sort of misstep that has cost some time or energy. For whatever reason, you kind of chose this path, and it gave you, in this moment in time, the clarity to embrace the opportunity that now presents itself. You can't really do much with could have, should have, or would have energy. It just ends up making you feel kind of like what we see here. A little bit mournful, a little bit sad, and there's so much to embrace and enjoy in this spread. I'd really love to give you that freedom to do just that. So forgive yourself and say, I did the best I could. I used all of the tools, the knowledge, and the information in front of me, and that was enough. And now I can choose differently. Phoenix rising up from the ashes here in this card can represent your ability to basically surprise people by your perseverance, by the ability to basically reinvent yourself. And so in this moment in time, you're being given both encouragement and also permission to shed your skin and say, what worked before doesn't necessarily work now. I'm going to try it differently. I'm going to do something unexpected. I'm going to do something because I want to do it. And whether or not everyone understands it, that's not necessarily my issue to solve. This is my moment to take a new step in a new direction. Let's see what people are thinking around you. So we have the Four of Wands, more support than you might imagine, but it is reversed. People are taking a couple of steps back because they can sense this feeling of protection, the fortress around your heart. Let people in if you're willing to. Four of Wands in the environment can represent a new and solid partnership. And I'm using the word partnership very purposefully because it could be friendship, it could be business, it could be love. Four of Wands doesn't discriminate. It's all of those. However, it carries with it the potential to go the distance. This is a card that I would see with engagements, for instance, long-term engagements and people that have your back. So what we see here is for some of you also, you're being discerning and you're saying, if I can't have someone who's really in it for the long haul, I don't want it. And that's okay. Just be willing to give things time to develop, because then we have the alignment here with the Seven of Pentacles. You're growing, the other person's growing. The synchronicity will bring you together when you've both done the work, so keep doing the work. But I do see new friendships brewing, new partnerships, and potentially love. Two of Cups and Four of Wands are a very favorable pairing. We'll hold all of that for the relationship portion, but already I'm getting some good stuff. All right, let's look at hopes, fears, and opportunities. Queen of Pentacles, she's reversed. Many of you are choosing to focus on yourself in this moment in time. Maybe going back and finishing something that you never had a chance to finish before. Maybe taking care of a part of your life that you've neglected. This is basically maternal energy, but put inward. Love, support, and development. And that is also why the castle came through. You are creating the firm foundation upon which Four of Wands energy can sit, upon which Two of Cups energy can sit. One additional note on this is if you need something, ask. This is a persuasive card. Queen of Pentacles in reverse is very good at identifying something and making a case for why she's deserving of it, but she has to believe it. So if you're still working on self-confidence, that's step one. But once you get to that point of feeling like, you know what, I really do want, need, and deserve this, work on the worthy piece. I am worth it. Then I feel like you're ready to have the negotiation and say, let's do this, okay? So personal development. By the way, this can also be going back to school. Whatever you need to do to invest in yourself, you're the best investment. And that's why we have the wheel here turning in a new direction. Seven of Pentacles showing upward growth. Six of Pentacles, which is the next card we're going to talk about, showing the choices that you need to make this month. So normally this is a card that has scales, which is telling me that for many of you, people are seeing your value and worth, and you may have almost too many things that you need to take care of. So balance them out and say, here's where I can make the biggest impact. Here's where I have the most passion, because we definitely do have heart energy coming through in this Two of Swords. So where do I feel alignment? That's where I'm going to invest. Just ending this on a positive note before we go into the expanded forecast. This is basically the absolute minimum that I look for to give people a green light to say, it's okay. You can move forward on the desired path, provided that you know your limits. So we talked about not overextending, not rushing, not pushing. That's all Seven of Pentacles. Sometimes Seven of Pentacles comes through after you've had an experience where you made a poor financial decision or you've been recovering from debt. So this is about weighing all choices moving forward to make sure it doesn't happen again. But for everyone else, it's just saying you have a finite amount of time and energy. So you have to be very discerning, very clear. This is a good investment, this isn't. And say no as necessary. As long as you make those smart decisions, you have more than enough, which is basically what we have in that card. Now let's expand this a little bit deeper. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with the energy of health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. So we have Krishna coming through here with devotion, and let's read the caption beneath it. It says, trust your spiritual guidance. Your commitment has been recognized. You are loved unconditionally. So I want to start with the latter part because I definitely see the unconditional love. It's in the environment and it's in the recent past. But there could be this feeling of doubt, uncertainty. There may also be a lot of focus on other things. We're looking at the Wheel of Fortune, Seven of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, a lot around money, time, and all of that energy can sometimes take you away from the things you're most devoted to, the love in your life. So make some time for that. The spiritual guidance piece also aligns here with High Priestess energy. So if you feel like you need to do something or don't need to do something, definitely follow up on that, okay? The commitment piece is if you want to make a change, you have to really be committed to it to see growth or movement there. So it's just a little bit of a reality check. All right, let's look at these cards now from a new perspective, focusing solely on health. The Two of Swords is about not ignoring something that doesn't feel right, basically articulating that, making sure that your doctor understands. Some of you may also need a change of scenery if you've been too long in one space or you work from home. Sometimes that can be, it can kind of like stagnate, or the energy can stagnate a bit. It does feel like one of the best things you could do right now is to basically grow your network, spend a little bit more time with friends, family, and loved ones. Most of these cards are pretty good. One thing that is interesting with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse is sometimes she overdoes it. Indulgence is a part of this, and it can particularly come with eating too much sugar, drinking too much caffeine, treating yourself in certain areas. Be mindful of that. But also, we just do see a lot of energy around work, so avoid overworking also. If you need to have a good cry or get some emotions out, by all means, do whatever is necessary here. Until that sort of emotion has been processed, it's hard to embrace all the positivity that we see here. This is a wake-up call. So judgment can come through when we have a brush with a serious health issue, sometimes even a brush with death. And it's sometimes what we need in order to wake up. You don't have to sort of have the same experience that your family does. If you did something and it created an issue, forgive yourself, make a change, and move in a new direction. Overall, I like what I see here, and there's nothing here that's jumping off the page as you need to focus on it. I feel like most of the stuff is clear. So let's move on to wealth. Wealth is a really interesting card. We have Osiris, and this represents renewal. So we can look at the death card in two ways. It can sometimes represent loss or release, but it can also be renewal or rebirth. And that is actually what we had here with the Phoenix coming from the ashes. So there might have been a challenge. There might have been a loss of job, loss of money, a misstep where you didn't get the experience that you wanted or the job that you wanted. But we see something changing this month if you're ready to look at it from a new perspective. So I quite like that. Now we're going to go much deeper, and I'll revisit Osiris as we go through these cards, but we're going to look at 5 subdivisions of this category. So let me give the cards a shuffle. We'll start off with those of you that currently have a job. Then we're going to look at those that own your own company. And then we're going to focus on those that might be seeking employment. And then we'll take a look at students. And finally, retirees. Some pretty powerful cards coming through. Let's begin with those that are presently employed. So this represents less than what you need or breaking even, but not to the point that it's enough. So there might be something in your energy field when you're working where it's just like, this is depleting me. I'm not making progress here. So on one level, this could just be about raising your hand, asking for help if you need it, delegating or saying no if you just feel like you can't make the impact that you need to on something. This is also watching out for your own health. So I recently had to do some traveling, and when you run yourself ragged, you tend to be a little bit more vulnerable for things like viral infection, which is what I got. So be careful. Don't run yourself to the point of exhaustion. If you're already sick, take some time and take care of yourself. That's what the Queen of Pentacles in reverse is all about. All right, let's go a little deeper into this spread and see if there's any other messages for those that currently have a job, and then we'll move on to the rest of these. So 5 of Pentacles, like I said, can sometimes be less than enough or fear of asking. So one thing that we want to get over is the fear of asking for more. I feel like you can actually get more than you expect. It's just a matter of articulating that. It does look like you're in a position now where things are starting to turn in a better direction, but articulation is part of that. And we only have 1 Swords cards right now, the 2 of Swords, and that isn't as clear as it could be. So if there's something you really need, be clearer, no ambiguity, basically. Your partnership, your popularity, your ability to network with others is your biggest strength. Again, there are hidden resources, so I feel like the challenge and opportunity is to speak up and ask. And if there's something that you want or need, the High Priestess and the Wheel of Fortune are auspicious. You can bring something into existence here. The one thing that is interesting here with Judgment, and I'll pull the traditional card while we're talking, is that, again, it feels like there might be something that, other people may have difficulty seeing, and this is where the demonstration, the prototyping might be necessary, because I feel like they're stuck in the past. It's a very interesting read for Judgment, but sometimes people need to release the old way of thinking or doing things. And what might be helpful, and this is why all of those partnership cards came through, is getting someone else to champion your idea. Because I feel like someone is really attached, stuck, or just incapable of seeing beyond what was in the past. So here's the Judgment card. This can represent higher knowledge, a call to action, and this is the old, kind of the old way of thinking or doing something that needs to be released, that needs to kind of die out, that you need something better to come forth. So don't be afraid to reach out and get the support that we see here in the Two of Cups and the Four of Wands. That could help you make the impact that you want to. All right, let's move on to the next category. We're now looking at those of you that are self-employed, entrepreneurs, etc. Nine of Wands is good. The hard work is paying off. Don't give up. You might need to pace yourself a little bit this month, take care of yourself. A lot of times this can show mental fatigue. It doesn't necessarily have to factor out into the body, but you don't want to go to the point of exhaustion like we talked about earlier. The other thing with the Nine of Wands here is you're so close to getting something done. It's an encouragement, to just finish what you set out to do. Now, this card is really interesting. There might be a chance now to figure out what the next big thing is. And particularly when you have your own company, you don't want to get stuck in the old ways here. Just like we were talking about Judgment, when it's a business, it can be your boss, but when you're the boss, it could be you. And if you don't evolve, if you don't change, it's going to be difficult to grow. So a calculated pruning of one product, service, or venture, and a little bit of nurturing of something else, with the understanding that it could take a little bit of time, but it's going to be worth it. I also see the ability here to lean into the good work that you've done, possibly with customers, and also for those of you that want to grow your workforce a little bit, now's a great time to do it. It's money well spent, and maybe you're just growing by one, but I feel like that could be one very valuable addition. Good energy around anybody that is currently self-employed. Now let's take a look at those who are seeking employment. We have a very unusual Hierophant here, and for some of you, you might be deciding to teach, mentor, lead, educate, maybe write something that other people can learn from, like a curriculum or textbook of some sort, and that's exactly where you should be. The Hierophant also represents highly structured areas of work. So I talked a little bit about education. It could be like an academic institution. It could also be a religious institution, government, anything where there's several layers of hierarchy. The main question here that I'm getting as I look at this is, does that feel right for you? If you're ready for that kind of navigation of a larger system, then by all means go for it. But sometimes it can feel like trying to climb this castle wall, and it can be a little bit imposing. Let's take a look at what might be. By the way, before I move on, just this piece here, using your inner wisdom and making sure that your education and your experience is highlighted, is going to be ever so important. Okay, let's continue to look at this from the perspective of job seekers. Reinvention. I mentioned this Judgment card. Now, even when we're looking at the Rider-Waite-Smith card, you can see even more in that area of not rinsing and repeating. So this is a moment to really decide if you want to go in a different path. By all means, you're encouraged. For everybody else, networking is the key. Like, it's who you know, not just what you know. So somebody may be able to get your sort of resume in front of a key decision maker. And without that human touch, it's a little bit harder. It could take a little bit longer. And we're seeing up to 5 weeks for some of this to come through, so don't give up. I do like what I see here. I mean, the Wheel of Fortune is a yes. And Seven of Pentacles and Six of Pentacles shows me that you're going to be able to negotiate something that is better than what you've experienced before. So put on that negotiation hat, ask for what you need, be patient, and try not to let one rejection get you in a position of thinking, oh God, it's never going to happen. I see quite the inverse here. It just takes a little bit of time. reach out to the networks and get some support. And if you don't have friends or family members that know someone, this can be about working with a hiring company, a talent agency, etc. All right, let's move on to those of you that are students. We have a great card. Very creative, very empathic, very happy kind of energy here with the King of Cups. One thing that this is also encouraging you to do is to go with the energetic flow. So if something feels right, if something drives you, this is also going to drive and affect your overall success. So this is just affirmation that no matter how strange it may sound to some people, if you feel it on a heart and soul level, it's exactly what you should be doing. But for my fellow artists out there, this card is especially for you, encouraging you to go deeper into those creative fields, to really get the sort of skills that you need to bring that to the next level and to embrace it. As we take a look at just general things that might be affecting students, I'm loving the Two of Cups and Four of Wands. The connections that you're making now can last the test of time and will help you long past your sort of academic career. We see things moving in a really positive direction. Again, a highly creative card here. You know, I'm even looking at you managing your time and energy pretty wisely. I think the biggest challenge could just be, again, one setback, one misstep, whether it's a bad test, a bad choice. It does not negate all of the positive sort of trajectory that we're seeing in this overall spread. So keep up that hard work, keep up the overall sort of like work ethic. It's paying off. Now let's take a look at those who are retired. We have the King of Swords in reverse. This is really interesting because for some of you, there is an encouragement. It's more of an emotional thing, but it's coming through just to be less critical of wherever you're at. And I think that this also aligns with what keeps coming through here with forgiveness. Because in general, this card can be self-critical. So that's the first message. You're exactly where you need to be, and could have, should have, would have doesn't serve you right now. This is also super action-oriented. So this is a time to amp up exercise and activities. And one thing that comes through loud and clear, even though we're not even in love or relationships right now, is just that, Two of Cups and the Four of Wands. The connections that you have in your life right now are even more important. And developing them and growing them at this phase of your life is so essential to just general happiness and health that that should be one of the main focuses right now. Other things that I'm seeing here, looking at your money, planning a little bit. So if you've just retired, what I said before still holds true. This is enough, but smart choices are necessary. Some of you may decide to do something on the side, whether it's being an advisor, maybe there's a part-time job, an additional sort of source of income, or you might decide to sell something. This can represent the house or home, and that is going to help you get into a better place financially. Just weigh your options, nothing hasty here. Remember also, there is a chance to tap into a new resource, whether it's some sort of funds that could support you, or again, there's a new job or something new that comes through to help you through this moment. Definitely that came through with the Wheel and the High Priestess. But getting more active in the community, doing more activities, that's definitely what I'm seeing. Let's go ahead now and move on to the next category. We're going to look at love and relationships, and we have Ishtar coming through, and she is bringing through lessons. Follow your heart, truth prevails. I mentioned a lot in relationships, you can either bring in a partner or a teacher. This is more teaching energy. So what I'd love to do is to help us identify the lesson so that then we can get back to the fun part, which is just camaraderie, partnership, love, friendship. Not so much teaching, because it is a little challenging when your partner is your teacher. That's when we often get to an area of like arguments and things of that nature. So let's dive a little bit deeper, and we'll take a look at 3 categories here. We'll start off with those that are presently partnered. Then we'll look at those of you that are looking for love. And then we'll take a look at those that are single and happy. Okay. Starting off with those that are partnered. So I mentioned that the focal point on this is going to be the lesson. 8 of Cups, really interesting energy, making and breaking cycles. So it seems like there's one thing that comes back time and again, and it could be this. So if we look at the karmic energy and see how it's cyclical, 2 of Swords is sometimes feeling like you're not listening or I'm not appreciated. So what you can do is model the behavior that you want and make sure that you call out behavior that's good, not just bad. Say, by the way, I really appreciated that you did this, or that made my day. And I really appreciate this about you in general. You know, when someone might be used to hearing critical and they start hearing positive, they can change. I went through that as a kid when I was born in the West, grew up on the East Coast. But when I went to this new school when I was in the third grade, I was so used to hearing that I was a bad kid that when I heard that I was a good kid, I just thought, okay, I can be a good kid. And I went from like average grades to straight A's within a year and a half. And I just thrived because there was so much love and support. So I'm living proof that if you're told you're a bad kid or a bad person, you'll just meet that expectation. But if you're told you're good or if you're given the tools and support to thrive, you can, because I saw both sides of the coin. So in a relationship, try to model the behavior. And then once you've done a little bit of the modeling, say, you know, it would help me to know where I stand on this. That's going to help you not feel like you're in the dark, because the Two of Swords can very much be in the dark. Eight of Cups, we see someone building a new sort of structure and habit and going back and almost like repairing some of the things, the lessons, learning some of the lessons that weren't learned before. Because it keeps coming around until you finally learn it, and that's what the Eight of Cups represents. There may also be this sort of, it's like intermittent speed on windshields. Like sometimes it's there, but it's not always there when you need it. So being more reliable, either you or your partner, working on the reliability piece is what's coming forth as well. There could be someone coming from the past now that you're deepening a relationship with as well, because this can represent that. But I'm getting bigger hits on the other things that we talked about. What I love about present relationships is we have Two of Cups, which represents love and support and seeing each other eye to eye, heart to heart. Really beautiful card here. Friendship, really leaning on that friendship. And it feels like you've worked very hard to take it to the next level, which is this Four of Wands energy. Some of you might be going through a difficult trial or tribulation with the Five of Cups. Don't rush. Work together. Do as much as you can. And remember what I said before. You do not need to be the end all be all. You're not the therapist. You're not the doctor. You are the friend. You are the partner. And if there's something that goes beyond that sort of partnership that requires a little bit more love and support, that's where you can kind of help identify the resource for the partner. Overall, I think that this is a good month ahead. There could be some developments in work. There could be a birth in the family. And this can also help you plan for the future. So I do think looking at the budget is going to be ever so important. All right, let's move on to those of you that are seeking love. We have a really good affirmative card in the form of the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is one of the most outspoken cards. So if you're interested in someone, let them know. If there's something that you're looking for in respect to like relationship goals, this is also about just being clear from the onset. Overall, though, this is a very good card, and it shows that when it comes to an initial conversation, you should know if the spark is mutual. If there's a lack of clarity on the other side, enough is enough. And karmically looking, I really do feel like many of you just are done with playing games. So this is a chance to say, take it or leave it. This is what I'm interested in. If you're looking for love, can you find it? Absolutely. We have someone here who's very interested in a long-term relationship. I would say this is why if you're not, be honest about that. If you are, I feel like things could take off rapidly. We have past life energy coming through with the Judgment card. However, one thing that I'm picking up on is there could be a little bit of healing that one or both of you are doing from possibly like a past relationship. So recognize what is in the present and don't fixate so much on that past experience. Speaking of that, let's look at the inner learnings here. What could be the opportunity? So Five of Cups is coming through as we're looking at present relationships. Oftentimes we are at a crossroads in our life, and again, there could just be these shadows of doubt from the past, and there is this internal feeling that, you know, it's just not happening. And what I see this month is the flip of that. So we see a card showing value and worth. We have the ability here to be a magnet and call in these great relationships. I see a Queen of Pentacles in the opportunity space, so you might be pulling in an earth sign, but this Queen of Pentacles connected to Four of Wands is either part of a ready-made family or wants to start a family or really just wants to commit. So the question is, do you feel that same way? Because that's what I'm picking up on. The only challenge outside of all of this is your time and energy management, because it looks like work could be kicking off and like picking up and adding a little bit more responsibility. You might be focused more on just trying to earn more money. There's something about your overall schedule that could make it difficult to devote what this person wants. So that's all I'm really picking up on there. And speaking up and being honest, that's the main thing. Okay, let's move on now to those that are single and happy. This is a time to liberate yourself. This is one of the happier 10 of Swords that I've seen. She's like, I don't need the drama. That's one of the reasons that I say single and happy. I think some of you have been through one or two challenging situations and you kind of earned your stripes. Enough is enough. This is a time to focus on healing the mind, body, and spirit. That includes meditation, massage, therapy, whatever it is that you need to feel healed and to feel whole. And that is what this is all about here. She's loving and nurturing herself. So being alone is not the same as being lonely. And this Queen of Pentacles knows that. She's like, no, in this moment, I just want to love, nurture, and support myself. So what I see happening nonetheless is still maybe a growing of the network here. Just like I was talking about with retirees. If you're single and happy, 2 of Cups, 4 of Wands, just really putting more time and energy into friends and connections. Now let's take a look at the Destiny card. Ariel is coming through here. Sacred activist. Protect what is right and just. Let love lead the way. Some of you are wanting to change the world for the better. I love the lion on this. It reminds me a little bit of the Strength card. You have the capacity, you have the skills, you have the wherewithal to affect the world in a better way, to make change happen. And if that's your calling, this card is basically saying absolutely. For everyone else, there's been a general theme of protection that came through from the very first card, the Castle, to this one, which is about protection. So if there's something that matters to you, really take time to protect and support that part of your life or part of yourself, and know that that is going to continue to help you firm up the foundation. All right, let's take a look at your final question for today. It can be anything that you still need clarity on. Go ahead and send that question out to Spirit. I'll shuffle the cards and we'll see what's coming forth. So for your final question, here's your final card, 7 of Cups. It's a good energy. This is reminding you of the importance in this moment of dreaming, daydreaming, exploring, allowing your heart and mind to wander. That's where really cool things can come forth. This can also be a card of confusion. So if you ask me a yes or no, here's what I'm getting. You need to clarify a little bit. Ask the question so that you get the clarity that's necessary, and don't jump into something without fully knowing what it means. So it's a not yet, comma, because you need more clarity. For everyone else, this is just a call to create space in your life, to dream, to explore, and to wonder. Maybe even to wander if you want to explore a little bit, like different environments, in order to help your mind explore possibilities. So there you go. A really good month ahead. And I love that at the center, we got that Wheel of Fortune. Things are starting to spin in a positive direction with time, energy, and money. Lots of creativity, lots of partnership, and basically just a little bit of self-doubt that might be getting in the way. But otherwise, I think you've got a great month ahead of you. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, do me a favor. It's 100% free, but it definitely helps the channel. Subscribe, hit the thumbs up on the video, and then also opt into bell notifications so you never miss out on a future video. You can also check out the newest podcast if you want to see some more from me. I also have daily, weekly, and monthly videos available as well. You can follow me on social media for more reminders, just in case they don't come through here on YouTube. A quick reminder, though, I don't offer private readings, nor do I use direct messages, so always be mindful of that. If you really love this and want to give back a little bit extra, when you comment, you can add a sticker. You can also become a supporting member, and I may do more in the coming weeks and months with membership, so now's a great time to join. For more information about me, you can always go to my official website, nicholasashbaugh.com. And with that being said, lots of love and gratitude to you. I think Apollo's behind us. Let me see if I have the camera set up. I perfectly have it set up for him. So from both Apollo and I would like to wish you much love, much gratitude. Thank you so much for being the absolute best part of what I do here on YouTube. Until I see you again, take care.